Okay, it's 1:39 in the morning and I should have hit my bed already, but I just wanted to give you a quick update on my book, right? I got all excited over a month ago now because I had my book printed and delivered to me, and I did a video where I'm unpacking the book. And anyway, as a result of a number of people asking, I decided to put it on Amazon because it wasn't my intention to put it on Amazon. This is a book that I'll be selling online myself, and it will be free, but there will be the shipping and handling as well. But anyway, I decided to go and put it on Amazon, and then that's where all the big problems began, right? Well, first of all, when the book came and it was printed, there were a number of errors in there that I noticed, and hey, for you grammar police, I've just noticed another one. Leave me alone. I was like, oh, I don't believe this. After hitting the button to send it up to Amazon, I noticed that I missed a dash out somewhere, and I'm like, hey, Primrose Granville, if you're looking, leave it alone. I should have actually got you to proofread it. I should have paid you to proofread it, right? Next time I will. But anyway, my point is that's when things started going really downhill, because as a result of doing the challenge with Russell Brunson a couple of weeks ago, one of the things he says is, you've got to focus on the who, not the how, right? And I'm like, wow, what is this concept? And it's a concept of letting other people do what they're good at and you focus on doing what you're good at. So as a result, a lot of things that I would have had a go at myself, and I'm not fantastic at graphics, so I would pay a graphic designer to do things like the cover, but I would have put the whole book together myself. And I thought, no, you know what, Russell's right. So I paid to get it done, and I must admit what came back I was actually quite pleased with. But as I said, when it came to putting it up to Amazon, it's slightly different, right? I don't know what it is, but anyway, they're a bit more fussy. And so I outsourced the formatting. And I'm telling you, the guy took over 5 days to come back to me. And when he did, I couldn't believe what this person had done. Listen, Elodie, in fact, it would be an insult for me to say Elodie would do better, because it's standard that Elodie would have done better. And anyway, we went backwards and forwards. And in the end, I had to ask him to cancel the gig because it was just so bad. He literally redid this thing over again instead of making the edits, because he didn't have the right tools. And so, one of the feedback I gave him, I said to him, look, if you really want to be professional at this, you have to have the right tools. And this is a message to us all, right? It would be no point me going outside and trying to knock down a wall with a hammer, right? A big, massive wall. We had a small wall when we first came here, right around the patio. And we had to hire a jackhammer to get rid of it. You just got to have the right tools for the job, right? But anyway, I took the gig back, and over the last couple of days, I invested in Adobe, the Adobe suite, and part of the Adobe suite came with Adobe InDesign. And I'm kind of looking at it because that is the software that the original designer used to create my book. And I'm saying, you can do this, Trish, have a go. And then I kept saying, no, shut the computer, go and do what you need to do, focus on the things that you're good at. But I got frustrated in the end, right? And this is how I actually started blogging, because I just got so frustrated with designers coming back and giving me rubbish that I sat down and learned it. So this morning I just thought, you know what? The one thing you are is patient, right? Believe it or not, Photoshop is one of those things that I don't know why I've never been interested in learning Photoshop, and still not interested. But Adobe InDesign, I thought, okay, you're not asking me to do graphic stuff. So I did. I watched a couple of videos and I was able to make the edits myself, and as a result, I have now published the book to Amazon. So let's hope they don't come back and say this needs changing, that needs changing. But what I really want to focus on is not just complaining about the fact that this person on Fiverr didn't do a very good job. It is that fine line as entrepreneurs, whether we focus on what we are good at all the time, especially when you're first starting out. And I'm not first starting out, but I don't have a team of people apart from people that I use on a regular basis to outsource things to. But this was kind of new. And even though I had a designer, in fact I had a designer for I think the best part of 7 or 8 years, and she sold the business to somebody else, and as a result, you know, I've not been getting so much work done by them. And but otherwise, you want to outsource work to other people, but it's the fine line between going back and forth and having to manage the project, because I'm telling you, this was like managing a full-blown project. If I showed you the videos that I had to create, right, and the feedback that I had to go back and say, you know, look, this isn't right, that's not right, and things that I shouldn't have to be telling these people who are say professionals. And that's the really annoying thing, you know. When one of the covers came back, in fact actually this is the original book, right, that was printed, but as I said, there are some things that needed doing. But when it came back, I don't know if you can see that, it says voice there, right, but I've got a little it's almost like a little alarm clock, because I'm talking about waking up your voice, and it's little alarm clock. And even though I gave him the original what do you call it, icon to use, if you saw what came back, honestly, it was blurred out. It was something that someone from kindergarten could do. But anyway, did I say that I'm not going to complain about it? I did, didn't I? So let me stop moaning. My point is that at some stage you've got to ask yourself, do you continue to just let it go and just say, you know what, this is experience, and let somebody else do it? Or do you just in the end say, do you know what, let me do this myself? And I know what the answer is, right? I know what the answer is really. The answer is that you just got to choose better, right? I maybe have to put some things in place so that I can say to people, you know, let me trial you with doing a few little bits and pieces first, because otherwise you'll be forever learning new bits of software, and something new comes up, and everything's changing on the web all the time, right? And you go to do one thing online, you go to do one thing, and then something else crops up, and oh, I didn't know that I had to do that bit, and I didn't know I had to do that bit. And one of the things I am actually going to do is do a mini course, and I'm not sure how I'm going to publish it at the moment, whether it's going to be free or whether it's going to be a long blog post. But I am going to do something on self-publishing, because I learned a lot through this process. And I'm telling you, there are some of you out there who want to write a book, and you're thinking about this kind of book, right? Hold on. This is Miles Monroe, one of Miles Monroe's book, you know, what is it? Understanding the Purpose and Power of Woman, right? So you're looking at book and you think, if I publish a book, I have to publish like that, right? Well, guess what? I've had this book for years and I've not read it. But let me just show you another book. Sorry, I should have been a bit more prepared. I was going to do this before. I wasn't planning on doing this evening. I have got a few bits on my desk. Right, this is another little book, right? It's called God's Creative Power. Let me just show you this. God's Creative Power. Look, can you see that I've been reading this book? Yeah. Oh, where is it? Handwriting all over. Oops. Look, my markings all over it. Right, I got another couple of books. Actually, I've got a pile down here because I was going to do this before, and I didn't get round to it. So I wasn't planning on doing it in this video, but I am now. Actually, no, not that one. This book here by Mike Murdoch. Right, I have read this book so many times. I have got so much info from it. Let me show you. Okay, my markings, right, in my book. I can read that in about an hour, right? An hour and a half maybe. I'm a bit of a slow reader, I'm being honest with you. Look at this book, Imitate God and Get Results, right, by Bill Winston. Look at that book. Do you see how many times? Do you see all the edits in there? Do you see all my markings? That is because I can pick those books up and read them very quickly. Now, there was a guy who came to our church a few years ago, Colin Urquhart, and he wrote these small books. There was a series of them. I've got it in my bookcase, but or it might be in Chris's actually. But it was what was it called? Something faith leadership. There was faith leadership. Anyway, there was a number of things, and he actually called them man books. Because he said, you don't know what it is, but men tend not to read, women do. And so he decided that whereas he used to print the big books, he decided he wasn't going to print the big books anymore. He was going to print smaller books so that men would read the books as well. But my point is, you don't need big books all the time as long as you get the information, right? As long as you get the information you need and you can act on that information, that is all you need. But I was reading a review the other night on Amazon, and I'll be honest with you, something happened. I'm not going to go into it, but people were gunning for this particular person to bring them down. All I will say is, if God be for you, who can be against you? And these people started giving this particular person really bad reviews on his book. And they were saying things like, there's not enough information in there. And I'm scratching my head and saying, not enough information in the book. If there is something in there and you can take that one step or utilize that one bit of information and you get an awesome result, that's all you need. So I'm not saying that you should write a book with one page, right? But I'm just saying that we live in an age now where we think that we have to consume, we have to, go crazy. Like, Short Circuit, is it? Is it Short Circuit, the movie? Input, more input. Loads of input. Let me show you this. I am actually going to get it on Audible. My sister bought me this for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I'm grateful because I really wanted it. But guess what? Every time I look at it, I get cold sweats because it's a big book and I don't do big books. My name isn't Primrose. I know, Primrose, I keep mentioning your name, but I know you're a bookworm, right? Primrose likes big books. I like small books. Where's the other one? Oh, there's another one here I've got somewhere by Kenneth Copeland called The Blessing, and it's big book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's big book. And so I'm not saying that I've not read big books, but in the main, you won't get me reading a big book. I've had to go onto Audible and download the audio of that book because of Michelle Obama's book Becoming, because I know it's the only way I'm going to read that book. So I want to encourage you to stop focusing on loads of information. I think I've done, how many messages have I done in this one video? This is a no-no, right? Just don't do this. But anyway, just focus on the information you need. But if you're writing a book, focus on the information that you need to give people to get them started, right? You can do big book after. Get them started. So that's what I was focusing on when I created this book. I just want people to recognize that they have a voice. I want them to start using their voice. The next book, I can do a bigger book. In fact, I can take this book, which actually started off, this book started off as a, sorry, I've got quite a few bits on my desk at the moment. I don't know what it is. When I go to do a project, I end up with loads of junk on my desk. It's not good. Actually, it's not that bad. But this book started off as an article that I wrote for an online magazine. I put a comment up on someone's blog, and I mentioned about the voice, and someone saw the blog article and went, oh my gosh, do you think that you could write something for our online magazine? So I did. So I sat down and I wrote the article and I expanded it, and I've done different bits with it and given it away as freebies. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to expand it again, and I'm going to create a book out of it, or booklet. You can call it a booklet really. But guess what? My intention is to actually get people to recognize their voice, wake up their voice, and do something with that voice. If I give you a big massive book, you might turn around and say, that was really good, that book was. But when I'm looking at reviews now, on Amazon, I ain't looking for, oh, that was a really good book. I want to see, as someone transformed, as someone said, oh my gosh, I read that book and then I implemented X, Y, Z, and oh my gosh, you should see what happened. That's when I go, without hesitation, hit the buy button, right? But if people just say, oh yeah, that was a really good book, I was really inspired by it, I need inspiration. To me means action, right? So anyway, my points were, I've made a lot of points in this video. My points were really that as entrepreneurs, we kind of got to learn to choose better when we're actually outsourcing work. But you know, I don't think it's a good idea if I turn around and start saying, oh, blow it, I'm not going to outsource stuff anymore, I'm going to do it myself. But secondly, if you want to create that book, do not think about this 200-page book, this 300-page book, right? Write something smaller. You know, look, Bill Winston's book, like I said, look how used that book is. Do you know how many times I've read this book? In fact, I'm going to say that he was the person where I got that quote from, where I say, if you want to maximize your potential, or something like that, he says you've got to put a demand on it. And I read it, the first time I read it, I thought, wow, this is really interesting. But it wasn't until a long time after I thought, wow, putting a demand on it means doing it over and over and over again. But the seed actually came from this book. And so, yeah, there you have it, guys. I will be doing something on self-publishing. I know that a lot of you watching this video, there is a book inside of you. And I want to encourage you, get on and get that book done, get it written. Don't think about the fact that it has to be a big, massive book. Do a starter book, do a man-sized book, right? Even if your market is women, because it's more likely to be read. Okay, that's it. It is now 1:56. I should be heading to my bed. So guys, I will see you in the next video. Okay, take care now. Ciao.